it's your boy the Kryptonian saying here, bringing you another One Piece chapter review. This time I'm doing One Piece chapter 16, and it's called Versus Buggy's Crew. Now this chapter, there's a lot going on, but I gotta say the highlight of the chapter for me is really just seeing how well Zoro was able to get into the head of his opponent. Now, what this chapter does when it starts off, it shows us that basically Buggy is the worst of the worst. He uses his comrades as a shield to protect himself from the force of the blast when Luffy used the gum balloon to force the Buggy ball back at them. And his second in command actually uses Richie the lion as a shield. So when his partner gets up, his partner's looking, the first in command, he's looking, he's like, what'd you do to Richie? And his response is, well, I didn't want to soil myself. And obviously, you know, the first in command is pissed and the lion's pissed too. I'm surprised the lion didn't die. But what we see is you know, he looks and he says, hey, Captain Buggy, you need to watch out. That's the guy that I had trouble with before, the Straw Hat Man. Well, he's really a rubber man. He's eating the devil fruit too. And that's when Nami looks at Luffy and she's just like, what's he talking about, rubber man? And Luffy, you know, stretches out his gums and he's like, see, I'm a rubber man. And he's having fun with her. But the crazy thing about this is this right here. Instead of being glad that his underling, his subordinate, gave him the information, Buggy gets pissed, says you should have told me earlier, and he was like, I tried to tell you. And then that's when he kicks him towards Luffy, right? And Luffy's like, oh shoot, the fight begins. So Luffy actually punches him out the way. And they're getting ready to get into it. And then that's when the second command, the guy that uses the swords and pull the swords out of his mouth, that's when he approaches, and that's when Zoro basically steps in and he's like, look, if it's a sword duel you want, then I'm the one you want to fight. And I was really hyped to see this because, you know, I'm really starting to love Zoro as a character. Just the different things he's been able to do, his honor as a man, especially his backstory on why he wanted to be a swordsman, all that stuff really resonated with me, you know? And maybe it's because I have a soft spot for, you know, guys who use swords and stuff when it comes to characters. But the crazy thing about it is, you know, Oda reminds us that when you have battle, nothing is off limits. You know, if you're well enough to fight, it doesn't matter how injured you are, everything's fair play. And that's something Nami doesn't get. You know, some people might take Nami's side and that, you know, she feels like, you know, the fight's going dirty because all of Zolo's injuries are being targeted. But the fact of the matter is anything goes in a fight. It doesn't matter as long as you win. Whoever wins is like the person that comes out alive. Like that's your end game. And every one of Zolo's injuries are being targeted and he's being taunted and, you know, people are laughing at him, and he even gets, you know, told at one point, you know, what type of man screams like a woman? You know, I wanted to face the bounty hunter. You know, it was supposed to be an honor to be able to cut you down, right? And Zolo, this is where, like, I loved it. Zolo actually gets up and he cuts himself across the hip and he says, is that enough of a handicap for you? I'm going to be the greatest swordsman in the world. And the chapter ends with him basically saying, come at me, bro. And I love that because you can tell that he's gotten under the skin of the second mate. You can tell that, you know, he's got a plan. He's got some type of trump card that he is not using. The chapter left with like a huge cliffhanger. I'm really looking forward to doing this last chapter before I get out of here for the day. But man, that's gonna be it for this chapter though. My chapter question for each and every one of you is, how did you feel about Zolo's injuries being targeted specifically in this fight? Did you think that was being dirty, or did you agree with me that anything goes? But that's it for this chapter. If you liked anything I had to say, make sure you comment, rate, and subscribe. I greatly appreciate it. But that's it. Thanks for watching Kryptonian saying, have an awesome day.